Yeah. Chairman, you can start the meeting. Thank you.
Good evening, or good afternoon, rather, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's meeting of the Cabinet. During the live broadcast, members and officers asked please to ensure that mobile phones are placed in the silent mode. I'll do that myself today as well, and that microphones are switched off when not in use. Would member services please report any apologies for absence?
No apologies, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. We are being asked in agenda item 2 to approve the public minutes, which are on pages 3 to 6 of the agenda pack, as a correct record of the meeting which took place on the 3rd of October 2022. May I ask any member who doesn't agree with the minutes to indicate that now, please? I see no objections to the proposal to approve the minutes as a correct record of the meeting, so they are now agreed. Thank you. Agenda item 3, there are no urgent items for consideration today. Agenda item 4 is to receive any declarations of interest under the local code of conduct or any interest under the code of conduct on planning matters in respect of any items to be discussed at this meeting. If you have anything to declare, would you please inform the meeting now? Councillor Clark.
I'd like to declare that I'm actually a member of the Freedom of the Leisure Centre.
Thank you very much. That's relevant given the fact that you're presenting the paper. Thank you. If anyone else has any interest that occurs during the course of the meeting, please do declare it immediately. Thank you. Now, before we progress with the substantive items on the agenda, I'd like to propose an alteration to the order of business for today's meeting, so that item 5 in relation to Freedom Leisure Utilities is instead moved for consideration after item 8, such that the first matter for consideration today will be item 6, which relates to the Wisbech Levelling Up Fund. Now, I'm proposing this change to reflect that there's now an exempt annex to the report on the Freedom Leisure Utilities item, which may result in the meeting converting to an exempt session should any aspect of that require discussion. And this will then ensure that any members of the press or public who are watching via YouTube can do so without interruption until we reach a point in the meeting which necessitates otherwise. Is that agreed by everyone? Good, thank you very much indeed, members. Agenda item 6 on the agenda is Wisbech Levelling Up Fund bid update and Wisbech Master Plan, which are on pages 23 to 132 of your agenda. Councillor Seaton, may I ask you to propose the report, please?
Thank you, Chairman. The council developed an LFU bid to government and submitted this in the late summer. The council knows that government is considering the bid as a couple of questions have been asked, but otherwise we have no indication of progress, nor when any announcement will be made as to which council bids have been successful. The Wisbech Master Plan, Cabinet will recall that the council did not bid in round 1 of the Levelling Up Fund, but instead decided to put in place documentation to ensure that any subsequent bid had firm footings from pre-work to inform and LFU bid. We bid in round 2 on the basis of that investment in pre-bid development work. The pre-work consisted of the development of the Wisbech Master Plan. The council appointed a consortium of professionals led by architects Knorr to develop the Wisbech Master Plan. This process was very much led by local Wisbech members who spent time with the consultants in the town and then in follow-up discussions. Local knowledge and understanding is essential when developing this type of document, and our member-led approach has ensured that the document produced reflects members' expectations and aspirations for Wisbech. This work informed the master plan document that we had before us. As you can see, the document contains many different aspects that may impact the future development of the centre of Wisbech. Some of these projects are very long-term, requiring land assembly and purchase, whilst other projects are shorter term, such as the 3 projects chosen for the LUF bid: the Castle Visitor Centre, Old Marketplace regeneration, and the Green Silk Centre at the College of West Anglia. The master plan is an important document that would help the council apply for further significant funding when available. To help improve the town in the future, it will also allow developers an insight into how local leadership would like to see the town develop. I'm happy to take questions regarding this document, but given its length, I feel that a written response to questions following this meeting to be appended to the minutes would be appropriate. The recommendations before us are that Cabinet notes the current position in relation to the Council's LUF bid. The Cabinet recognises the importance of the Wisbech Master Plan in the future development of funding applications and investment opportunities for the town, and that Cabinet recommend that the Wisbech Master Plan is included in the local plan. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Seaton. May I have a seconder, please? Councillor Miss Hoy, thank you very much indeed. Right, the agenda item is open for discussion. Sam.
Yeah, thank you. Just quickly, I believe I saw, I think it was the MP for Mansfield that's mentioned that they are announcing they're levelling up bids on this Thursday. So we might hear very soon. I don't know how obviously accurate that was, but it's something that caught my eye yesterday. And just on the plan in general, I think it's a really good plan. It's nice to have some things that actually we've got, I think, quite good sign up for. Just on the bit about the boathouse, obviously, I know that we didn't include that in the bid because that's going to be progressed by the investment board. I think I would just ask if we could perhaps pass on our comments to them that would be keen for them to include a number of items in that plan. I know obviously we probably can't include everything for that area because of viability, but there's some quite low value items, like for example there was quite nice lighting along the pathways and things which I think would look very nice for the town at quite low cost, and I think it'd be a shame to miss those. So I'd ask the investment board to look at perhaps what they can do to make the area look nice that's fairly affordable. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Hoy. I mean, they're very good suggestions. On the getting a response from government, I have been asking officers about that again this morning. We still don't know, but hopefully if what you're saying is correct, then we may find out something shortly. As for your other comments, I think we will note those and certainly put those in the mix. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Steve.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'm always a little bit concerned about the term master plan because I'm aware that the public are watching this meeting and other meetings, and I think some of them might think that we believe this is going to solve all the issues in Wisbech. Of course, that's not the case. When we're bidding for things like levelling up funds, the rules which we must follow are fairly strict. What we can spend the money on is limited by those same rules. And we are limited by the amount of time we have to prepare. So nobody who's watching this meeting or reads any of these minutes later on should think that we are suggesting that a visitor centre will solve everything in Wisbech. What these things are things that had a lot of buy-in, that a lot of people thought would help and improve the town overall. I think it's a great set of bids and I really hope we do get them all, and I'd just like to endorse what Councillor Hoy said about the boathouse area as well, because of course we have to try and progress that, but that's being handled in a different way. So other than that, thank you for the report.
Thank you for that, Councillor Tierney. Yeah, note what you're saying and agree that if we can do work the boathouse in, that would be ideal. Of course, this is not going to solve every problem. We know that. This is the start, hopefully, of a long journey, which will enhance the centre of Wisbech and the town itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from any other members? No. There are no further speakers. The recommendations were at page 24, but have been amended very slightly, as was read out by Councillor Seaton. So we are requesting the Cabinet note the current position. We are recognising the importance of the Wisbech Master Plan in the future development of funding applications and investment opportunities for the town. And Cabinet are also asked to recommend inclusion of the Wisbech Master Plan within the next draft of the local plan. My question is this agreed? Those in favour, please do show. And that's agreed unanimously. Thank you very much indeed, members. Agenda item 7 is the draft 6-month Cabinet forward plan, which was in the original version on pages 133 to 134 of the agenda pack. Are there any questions or comments about the draft forward plan? Certainly, yeah. Councillor Mrs. French.
Thank you. Yes, Leader, looking at this, it's disappointing there's nothing in there about civil parking enforcement. I do know that we obviously are having discussions between County Council and possibly a combined authority and Cambridge Greater Partnership. But I wonder if there's any update. We did have an email a couple of weeks ago. I wondered if we've got any updates that could be brought forward.
Thank you very much indeed. We can certainly ask if any officer has any update about the timing on this. As you know, Councillor French, we've been trying to get this on our agenda for a long period of time, and we are absolutely in the hands of the County Council, waiting for the County Council to progress matters. If any officer has any indication about timing, then I'd be more than happy to hear from them. Otherwise, unfortunately, we can't exactly put it on the plan when we don't have a date at which it can be discussed.
If I can come back, I do believe there is a highway meeting next month. Whether anything will be on that, I don't know.
We've said at these meetings quite frequently there is a highways meeting in the next month or two, and each time we don't get what we're hoping for. Let's hope this time, Councillor French, are you on that committee?
I am.
Good. Well, let's hope next time. Let's hope next time that it does come up with the goods, and then we can have it discussed at the earliest possible opportunity at Cabinet.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right. So, any other comments about the forward plan? No. Then the forward plan is noted for information. Thank you very much indeed. On agenda item 8, there were no items deemed urgent, and in view of members having agreed an alteration to the agenda, we'll now revert to consider former item 5. Which relates to freedom leisure. Now, item 5 on the agenda concerns freedom leisure and sets out a range of options available to Fenland District Council in relation to its ongoing financial support. Members will note that there is an exempt appendix to the report circulated separately by email. Now, we'll remain in public session for as much of the debate as possible. And in fact, I'd like it if we could remain in public session for the whole of the debate. However, if any member wishes to discuss the content of the exempt appendix, then following presentation of the report, please do confirm your intention, and at the appropriate time, we'll take a vote on whether to enter exempt session. I'll now ask Councillor Clark to propose the report, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Members will be very aware of the energy crisis that is causing severe problems across households and businesses in the UK. Businesses that are heavy users of energy are particularly affected, and this includes the council's partner, Freedom Leisure. Heating swimming pools and large hall spaces has become very expensive since October. Freedom is unable to operate our leisure centres without additional help from the council, and this paper discusses how we can support our partner. I'd like to cover 3 initial points first. Leisure centres in Fenland provide excellent opportunities for people to remain healthy and learn key life skills such as swimming. They also provide an opportunity for people to meet each other, strengthening our communities. People in our district continue to suffer from considerable health inequalities, and ensuring the leisure opportunities remain in place is essential to ensuring that health inequalities gap does not get any more significant than it already is. Freedom has done an excellent job recovering from the pandemic. The Fenland contract has income approaching pre-pandemic levels. Swimming lessons are going exceptionally well, and financially, Freedom is predicting with their excess energy bills that they will only be slightly off target for this financial year. The business is viable and back on track, with the exception of the energy issue. I would also like to highlight that if anyone, including the council, was running the leisure centre businesses, they would be facing the same problems. If the facilities were still in-house, the council will be paying these increased costs, and this situation is not one that Freedom has been able to avoid. As you can see, the report is quite long, so I've summarised it as follows. What is the issue? Freedom's estimates given the rise in energy costs, put on excess energy costs of approximately 281,000 into the system for the last 6 months of the financial year. Estimates for the next year are in the region of 600,000 in the excess energy costs. The council invested in excess of 800,000 in energy efficient equipment for the leisure centres several years ago. The investment looks increasingly wise given the current situation. However, whilst the centres are now more efficient than they have been since opening, they still consume a considerable amount of energy. Freedom has put in place operational efficiencies to reduce energy costs. Lights are switched off promptly, gym equipment turned off during quieter periods. All temperatures are being reduced to cut costs. This has all helped to reduce costs, but the challenge is so significant that closing the affordability gap is impossible without other approaches. Freedom's approach so far includes reduction of non-operational costs as much as possible. The senior leadership team has taken a pay cut. The regional management team have been reduced in number, and reductions in operational teams is being considered at present. What else is needed? Discussion with Freedom have highlighted that further operational changes are necessary to reduce operating costs, whilst ensuring the continued provision of the leisure opportunities in Fenland. As you can see from the paper, there are several options open to Cabinet to give support to Freedom, both in terms of direct support, a flexible approach in the service being provided to reduce costs, and also actions being taken for Cabinet to note. In summary, options to reduce operational costs in Fenland include: Option 2, a reduction in opening hours to save in the region of 45,000 in the remainder of the financial year. Option 3, work with Freedom regarding energy suppliers. Option 4, pending NNDR relief application from Freedom to reduce NNDR costs. Option 6, potential FDC capital investment is further energy reducing measures within the leisure centres. Option 8, price charges include some above CPI increase for swimming lessons and concession swimming. Finally, to ensure that continued operation of the centres, it is recommended that the financial support to the sum of 281,254 is made available on an open book basis, if required, by the way of a repayable loan. In summary, this is a difficult situation for both parties. The council is facing some considerable financial pressures, but without our support, there is a real concern that Freedom would step away from the Fenland contract. If this happened, it would only increase the council's costs well above the excess energy costs being considered here, making the council's position worse. I would like to highlight this confidential appendix for members to know. I would like to open the report for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Clark. And as the portfolio member for finance, because this has such financial implications, I'll be happy to second this. Open the debate up. Members like to say. Councillor Hoy.
Yeah, just to say that I think this is really important. I know it's not an ideal situation that we're in, having to spend this money, but I think it's good that we are in our area keeping pools open, and in other areas they've closed. And I think that's really an important thing for the public. It's really important for kids to be able to swim. It's a real vital life skill, I think. And I think that's a really good use of taxpayers' money. I know obviously we try to avoid using it as much as possible on things that are unnecessary, but I think this is a good use of it.
Thank you. Steve.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So first of all, it's a disappointing situation to be in. I don't want to roll the clock back too much, but I was one of the ones who wasn't in support of this when we first planned moving it over to Freedom. I don't accept that we would have the same problems as Freedom has if we hadn't passed it over to them, because you can handle things in different ways, and sometimes you're more flexible if you're in direct control and you're not looking at a profit necessarily making a profit. Nevertheless, we would certainly face some of them, that's fair. They also sold themselves to us as experts in the field, and yet as soon as trouble comes along, they're always asking for money. And this happened. I know COVID was unusual, and I know this current energy situation is unusual. It's fair for them to be asking for these things, but nevertheless, I think they're a little too quick to ask. And so I don't want us to be seen as a soft touch. Every time there's a problem, they'll come and demand because they feel like they've got us over a barrel. But Councillor Hoy is right. It's vital that local people have access to things like swimming lessons, that elderly and vulnerable people get to go and be healthy and have fitnesses and actually just mix and mingle and see people, and it combats loneliness. I think that they're a vital resource, and if ever there was something taxpayer money should be spent on, it's helping keep such vital resources open for those who perhaps couldn't afford to go private or do something different. So I think we're in a difficult situation. I think there's a good plan here to mitigate the problems, and we should support it wherever we can within reason. We are, of course, under our own financial difficulties, and we have to be careful that we don't go too far. But I think what I would say is, yes, let's encourage them to do many of the things they've suggested in the report and help them where we can afford to do so. But let's be very clear to them that they can't come to us every time there's a hiccup and expect us to bail them out, because we can't always do it. Thank you.
It's very helpful. Thank you, Councillor Cheney. Just one note of correction, which I think is important for the record, and that is that Freedom Leisure is a charitable trust, so it doesn't make profits.
Yes, sorry. Thank you. You're correct.
Jan.
Thank you, Lydia. Yes, I disagree with some of the comments Steve has made, but not all of them. But yes, this does concern me. We've got an additional 1,235 children learning to swim every week. A total of 3,200 per week. We cannot put that in jeopardy. Many years ago, before the George Campbell was in existence, and I'm talking many, many years ago, they used to swim in the river. We don't want to go back to that situation. And then the first swimming pool was brought into being in March, which was through the George Campbell family, and it was Fenland Council. Again, many years, I believe in the mid-70s, actually put a roof on it. Probably Councillor Murphy might remember that. But, you know, leisure centres are so important. You know, we must keep them open. It's sad. It is going to cost us money, but I'm sure as leader and portfolio holder for finances that you are watching it very carefully.
Thank you, Jan. Councillor Laws, and Mayor, I should have welcomed you back. I know that you have been absent through illness, and more than happy to see you back here. Dee.
I thought she lost her voice. You wouldn't be that lucky. Thank you. I was just going to say that I agree with some of the things that Councillor Tierney says. In particular, we shouldn't be the first port of call for finance. But I think we know that COVID did a lot of damage to many of these types of facilities, leisure activities and sports facilities. And we're all facing financial pressures, and especially with, you know, increased prices of clubs and associations. But it's so important to have the leisure centres open, and it's most important to have the swimming pools, not just because we are teaching people the vital thing of swimming and the children's learning, but from the health aspect. But most importantly, since COVID, is the social aspect. Many people actually do live by themselves, and I know with Healthy Hearts and other facilities we've got in the sports centre, swimming is a vital part of their week. So I know this is taxpayers' money, and I appreciate that you're in charge of the purse strings, our leader, but I also am very, very mindful that this is a good investment and what we need to do for our residents and electorate. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Well, I actually do agree with virtually everything Councillor Cheney said. I think he's got a spot on for everything there. It is a good plan what we've got, and I think we've got to do this because we've got to keep it going. We cannot afford to shut anything down or do anything like that at all. So I totally agree with Councillor Cheney that we carry on with as the options we've got.
Thank you very much indeed. Councillor Count.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, this is one of those vital services that we provide, but unlike some of our other services, it's not in the statutory category, and so there's a certain amount of option on our part as to whether we move forward, bail out, and the degree to which we provide it. I think the match between 4 market towns and the 4 major leisure centres is the right match, and I wouldn't like to see anything happen to that can be avoided. And this paper in front of us provides us a way forward in what is very, very difficult times for households, very difficult times for us, and very difficult times for Freedom Leisure, driven mainly by the energy costs. What I did like about the paper that I read when it came here was it was fully prepared, researched, gone through everything. I couldn't think of something else I wanted to see in there, and I couldn't see something I wanted to take out. So I'm very much in support of all the individual recommendations in there, all of the options in there. Some of those are investment in the future, such as the energy performance ones, and I think that's a great move. They could have come ahead at any point in time, and I would have welcomed them. And others are reacting to the current situation. The only concern I've got, and it's not that I'm not going to go ahead with this, but just raising it with officers, is the facility of the loan, and nothing to do with the confidential papers, just the loan facility. Because Freedom Leisure operates around quite a large area with other people, they may be at risk if they are not as, if other areas don't behave in the same way that we're planning to. And therefore it's important that the way that we structure that loan protects Fenland and Fenland leisure centres and Fenland taxpayers' monies. We should go ahead, but we just need to be careful and make sure we get those terms and conditions right. Okay, thank you very much, Chair. I'll be voting in support of everything.
Thank you, Councillor Count. And to answer that question, we have been keeping abreast carefully of the situation between Freedom Leisure and the other local authorities that they work for. A significant majority now have agreed terms or in the process of agreeing terms. It's only a small minority where that hasn't yet been done, and that's changing almost on a daily basis. So far as the loan is concerned, to the best of my knowledge, and I stand to be corrected by officers here, Finland is the only authority which is requiring loans rather than is issuing grants as far as this is concerned. It's possible that someone has copied us because in the COVID period we also offered loans, and I am aware that Freedom had some resistance to the loans because they appear on their balance sheet. But it appeared to me that it was appropriate that if we entered into a contract with Freedom and Freedom aren't able to fulfill that contract, then it's appropriate for us to be able to get recompense from Freedom if later in the course of the contract, they're in a financial position to do so as a result of the profitability of this contract. And that is what the loans are about. So that's the way in which we've set it up. There's no guarantee. It's not a fixed loan. We don't have any sort of charge over the company, but nevertheless, it will mean that if Freedom come through this, as I hope they will, and the rest of the period of the contract is successful, that we will get a larger proportion of that success back in terms of funding than would otherwise have been the case. Any other comments from any members? Councillor Clark.
Can I just thank the officers for this paper? Like Councillor Count said, it's got a lot of information, and well done.
Thank you. Well, there are no further speakers. No one needed to speak to the exempt appendix, which is good. So the detailed recommendations are set out in the agenda. Now, the first set of recommendations, that is paragraphs 3.1 to 3.4 and 3.7, are information items. So may I just seek Cabinet agreement that they are formally noted as requested. Those in favour, please show. Thank you. The remainder of the recommendations require specific decisions, and I'll therefore take each of them in turn. In relation to paragraph 3.5 and option 2 of the report, are the proposed changes to opening hours from the 1st of December 22 to the 31st of March 23 agreed as proposed? Those in favour, please show. That is unanimous, thank you. In relation to paragraph 3.6 and option 3, are the proposed energy billing adjustments and associated contract variation agreed as proposed? Those in favour, please show. Again, unanimous, thank you. In relation to paragraph 3.8, to approve the continued pursuance by officers of the energy saving measures proposed at option 5 of the report, and subject to the associated FDC costs being incorporated and agreed by full council as part of the capital programme for 23-24. Are members in favour, please show. All agreed, thank you. Also in relation to paragraph 3.8 of the report, to approve the proposals with regard to the replacement of equipment as set out on option 6 of the report. And I know we'd like to discuss this, but this is where we are asking for all future equipment to be replaced only when agreed by FDC officers by reason of obsolescence or being worn out or being dangerous. Those in favour, please show. Thank you. And then in relation to paragraph 3.9 and option 8 of the report, agreeing the proposed price increases. Those in favour, please show. Unanimous, thank you. And finally, in relation to paragraph 3.10 of the report, delegating authority to the section 151 officer in consultation with the portfolio holders for finance and leisure to provide direct financial support to Freedom Leisure in the form of a loan up to the value of £281,254, repayable through an annual deduction of 75% of any profit generated in excess of the levels predicted in the LOBTA. Those in favour, please show. That's unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you all for that, members. The final item on the agenda is agenda item 9, Wisbech High Street update. And this is being proposed as an exempt report on the basis that it contains information relating to the financial and business affairs of Fenland District Council, which, if publicised, would undermine its commercial position. It has therefore been assessed that there is a requirement to maintain the confidence of this information, and that outweighs the public interest at this time. Is this agreed? Yes, it is agreed by all members. Thank you very much indeed. Member services, would you please, I should go through the formality, I suppose, as members have indicated they wish to discuss the exempt the exempt item. It's necessary to move that under appendix 1 of the report. Under paragraph 3 of schedule 12A of part 1 of the Local Government Act 1972, because the report is of a commercially sensitive nature relating to the financial and business affairs of Fenland District Council, that the matter be dealt with as an exempt item. Those in favour of the exemption and of the present public being removed, please show. Right, that's agreed unanimously. If the live feed can now be suspended. Thank you.
I'll let you know as soon as that's done. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great.